and welcome to the Scary Goals Club. I am your host, Hazel Robertson, and I believe that to make the impact that you know you are called to make in the world, it requires setting bigger, scarier goals and then becoming the person who creates them. That is what I am here to show you how to do. That's what we're diving into with mindset, tools, tricks, really simple, practical, actionable steps you can take and start applying straight away. Because whatever you believe, we have this one life that we definitely know about. Start making the impact you know you want to make in the world. Fear is not a reason to stop. We keep going. We work through the fear. That is what we do in the Scary Goals Club. So come on in, come join, hit subscribe, and let's get started. Hi, and welcome to episode 21 of the Scary Goals Club podcast. I'm your host, Hazel Robertson. And it is a lovely sunny Thursday here. It is also election day, so it was really fun waving bye to Flynn and Luke. They headed off this morning to go and vote. Well, Flynn obviously can't vote because he's won, but to go and even just be part of being in a polling station, watching other people vote, like being part of the whole process. And I'm going to vote after work and after I've recorded this, and I've got another call this afternoon. And yeah, I was even reflecting back at like 100 years ago today, I think it was 1928 that women got the vote. Like 100 years ago today, women weren't allowed to vote. It just seems almost like crazy when you think about it now. And it wasn't really that long ago, like a few generations ago. I'm just thinking, what is going to be different in 100 years' time when Flynn's 101, and thinking like all of the shifts that are going to change. And yeah, it's just sometimes time traveling can be really powerful when you think to the future and imagining. Certainly for me, when I start to imagine about like Flynn's future and the world like he's going to be growing up in, it really hits home a lot of the almost like the decisions and how I am being and how I am showing up today. And also that's helped me get on actually record this because I've been putting it off. I think because last week I put out one that I'd already recorded a podcast about, and it was so interesting listening to that back. I just feel in such a different place than when I was actually in the thick of it, having closed down that program, deciding that I was shifting and evolving where I was taking the business, but not knowing exactly where that would go. And what I want to talk about today is just one thing that has really, really helped me continue to navigate through that, even when I don't really know exactly where I'm going. Like I'm still trying to figure out, because oftentimes when we talk about goal setting, it's like you have the clear vision of where you're going, and then it's like you figure out how you're going to get there. I felt over the last few months, I know roughly where I'm going, but I don't have the clear vision of it quite yet. And so it's been very easy for me to be like, well, not like almost not do anything and get stuck and just be like, well, I don't know where I'm exactly going, so I can't really do anything, which is where I had been in before. And I just want to talk through a practice that's really, really helped me continue to show up and build momentum and actually figure out where it is I want to go. Before I get into that, I have totally forgotten where I was going to say. Oh yeah, there was something else. So even that time traveling, like thinking ahead to the future of imagining like how is that world going to be different. Sorry, my dog is barking. I'm going to pause this recording and go see what's happening. Okay, we're good. All is okay. And just it really helps me show up in a bigger way. When I can zoom out, it gets me out of my head, out of like, oh, but I can't do this. I don't want to post. I don't want to like show up on camera. It's like almost that doesn't even matter. I'm so zoomed out. It's the same. I do it often with like zooming to the end of my life. Can just give that perspective of looking back and being like, oh, like life is short. You can actually make a difference. Like go, like show up today. It almost cuts through all the noise that often my brain can be like, don't do it. It's like that bigger perspective. And also time traveling back in time as well. And so thinking about again, 100 years ago, like if I was alive 100 years ago, I wouldn't be able to vote today. There's so many other privileges that I have now or rights, we could say, privileges, rights that I have now that I wasn't able to have, and that my great grandparents and their parents back wouldn't have ever had. And so even time traveling back the way really helps to put into perspective like what gifts I have today that other people, my like ancestors and previous generations never had. And again, that helps me show up and stand up on camera, even when my like all this self-doubt is coming in because I haven't recorded a podcast in a couple of weeks. I'm feeling like out of the loop and questioning, like, is this actually that useful? Is this actually that useful? Like all of that is still coming up. This is episode 21. It doesn't go away. Like at every level, it's coming up being like, oh, you maybe talked about that before. Maybe that's not that useful. Does anyone care? Like all of that's still coming in. And luckily I was able to not listen to it and catch my brain and just do a bit of time traveling that helped me be present. The other thing I wanted to show you, it kind of caught my eye when I was just jumping on here, is, well, you can see this if you're on video. So this is something that I've added to like the background. If you are listening to this, it's a canvas and it's got stripes, different multicolored stripes painted vertically down it. And not only is it like super bright and happy and like just looks amazing, but it was actually painted by one of my friends who's no longer here. It's like a reminder that like these moments that I have now, like she'll never be 38. I'm 38 now. Like she is in my heart and in my mind, but like she's always going to be 24. And just knowing that even these moments that I get, like these days, every single day today feels like the biggest gift. And so these are things that really help me when I'm finding it hard to show up, finding it hard to get on camera, finding it hard to be vulnerable and be open and honest about stuff. And just, yeah, zooming out to the future, zooming back, and also thinking about this friend who will never get these moments. And it's just what a gift having this moment right now and having the tools and this platform to be able to share things I find are important and to be able to help others as well. So if you're struggling to show up, and I know a lot of the clients that I coach, like part of their scary goal is around showing up. Maybe it's posting, maybe it's creating new clients or contracts or starting a podcast, whatever it is, a lot of it is about showing up, putting themselves out there time after time after time to work towards their goal and to step into that person that they're becoming. So if your scary goal also involves putting yourself, your real self out there and stepping into that person and being seen and being more vulnerable and more honest and open, maybe it's online or however it is. If your scary goal is something around that, these are things that might help you too, even when you just like don't want to show up. Like doing the time travel 100 years in the future, 100 years in the past, think about like your ancestors and like what you're able to do now that they couldn't. And also, if there's any people that you care about that are no longer here, it's almost, for me, it's almost like I'm doing it for her. Like this life that I have right now, like these moments are such a gift. And I don't take them for granted. It can be easy to start to take them for granted and just get into like the weeds of things, but just having these practices really helps me just stay more grounded and present when I can. It doesn't always happen. I'm not always able to catch it, but when I can, those are some things that really help me. So what I wanted to get onto today is a practice that's really, really helped me when I've been figuring out exactly where I'm going and where I'm taking the business. And it is this imperfect action. Imperfect action. Basically, action, just any action. And I think it can be really easy, and this is exactly what I fell into, of the trap of thinking I'm not clear exactly what it is that I'm like, where exactly I'm going yet. I know a little bit, I know roughly. So until I know, I can't take any action at all. And that is just not true. What I have found over the last few months now, like today, versus when I recorded that podcast from last week, that was a few months ago, I am so much clearer on where I'm going, where I'm taking the business, what it's going to look like, and what this next evolution is. So much more clearer. Not because I've spent lots of time thinking about exactly what that is. Because I just be like, and it's almost when I try and imagine it, it would feel almost fuzzy. Like sometimes when I can really imagine something, it is so crystal clear. It is so sharp. Like when we're thinking about, I'll talk about this on a future podcast, but we've been figuring out, like we moved to Bankery last year and we've been figuring out, okay, where is it we're renting at the moment? Where is it we want to buy? What is that going to look like? What is the house like? I have had literally the clearest picture of what that is going to be like, even though nothing has come up that's looked even remotely like it, like in the area that we want, in our budget, like anything like that. I have had like, I've been like, oh, it looks like this, which is so ridiculous to even be thinking about because it's like, almost like, how dare I have this vision of what I actually want when literally nothing has matched it. So things like that can feel very clear. In terms of like the future of the business piece, it's felt very murky. And every time I've tried to almost like take my brain there and imagine it, it's just felt like this murky sea of like dark blues and reds and grays and swirling around. And I'm like trying to imagine it and get it clear. And it just has felt like really murky, muddy water, almost like if you're swimming and you do any wild swimming at all, and it's like you stir up the bottom a bit and it goes really murky. That's what I feel like I'm in at the moment. I almost like need it to settle down so I can see. And before that was stopping me from doing anything. It's like, well, I don't know exactly where I'm going, so I need to figure that out. And now I realize that is completely not true. It's almost like I needed to know the end result of where I was going before I could take any action, which it can help. Like when we're clear where we want to go and we can start visualizing it and imagining it and moving towards it, it will happen so much more quickly. But there are also times in our life, like I have just been through, where we know it's different than where we've been and we know kind of what it is, but don't really know exactly what it is. And if you're going through that at the moment, or if you're kind of like, I know that something is changing, something is different, but what exactly it is, I'm not quite sure. Like the single best thing you can do is just take imperfect action. Start connecting with people, having conversations with people, speaking out loud, what, like even talking about what you think you want in a rough sense. The more that you can speak that out loud, speak it out loud to other people, test it with other people, the more you're going to start to firm it up in your own mind. And the more you're going to be like, oh, wait, it is actually this, or oh, this. And even the more that I've been like dreaming about, okay, I think it's like this, and I think it's like that, having conversations with people, starting to step into like, okay, this is the business I want. I can now be this kind of business owner. I can now shift my identity of what I think is possible, letting go of whatever I have been doing in the past, business wise, and being like, no, this is where I want to go. This is who I'm becoming. The more that you can start to do that and start to speak about that, the more solid the ideas are going to start to crystallize, and so many ideas are going to come. So until you start taking action, whatever the action is, and just the thing that I can really recommend is listening to your gut, listening to your intuition, not being like, oh, I should do this thing, but really listening. What feels like, ooh, that could be fun. Like that's a sign for me. I'm like, ooh, that could be fun, or like that would be amazing. Those are the kind of signals, and almost like checking in, and like I can feel it in my gut, and it's like, yes, this is the next step for you. Go and try that. Go and speak to that person. Go and have this conversation. Go to this event. Go and send that email, send that message, whatever it is. Just really tuning in to like those little, almost like nudges that will, what I have found, keep me on the path of things that I ultimately want to do. Because what had happened in the past, and I spoke about it in the last episode, is like I'd done things I thought I should do and then created this business and like way of running it. I was like, this isn't even what I actually want. I was just following someone else's steps and processes. Like, I don't want to do this. I want to do things my way. So by listening to like, ooh, that would be amazing. That would be so fun. Ooh, I'll connect with this person. I wonder if I could speak to that person. Like, I have so much more clarity. I have so much more energy. And I feel like there's this momentum building that's moving me in a direction that I know that I want to go. And as soon as I've started taking action and I've been showing up more powerfully, people have been reaching out, I've been having more conversations, and I'm just getting so much clearer on exactly where I'm going. So I just want to offer that if things feel murky, if you know that things are going to be different, that you're not staying in the direction that you've been going and that you are changing things, start taking action. Messy, imperfect action. You don't need to think about the outcome of it. Just listening to like, oh, that would be fun. That could be cool. Let me explore this. Think of it as like you're exploring lots of different things and you're building this picture of like, yes. And the same thing happened with our house as well. It was like, oh, maybe it's this. Maybe we want to live here. And then we almost like test it out, go down the path, go see some plots or some houses, have a look. And we're like, that's not actually right. Okay, so we know it's not that. Let's go this way and have a think about that. Okay, we'll try it out, try it out. That didn't quite work either for whatever the reasons are. And then we're like, okay, let's try this. And now we're like, oh, it's this. And it's only been by exploring these other options and going, actually, no, I think it is this one. That's enabled us to like have the momentum to take the action to keep showing up. It is the same with your business. It's the same with your scary goal. If you are feeling like you're not sure exactly where you're going, what it is, start taking action. Anything. You will build momentum, the ideas will crystallize, and you'll be so much clearer on exactly where you're going. Okay. I hope that was helpful. It's just a short episode this week, but I hope you have the most amazing week, the most amazing rest of the day as well. I'll see you next time, and keep taking that imperfect action. Listen to your gut, keep moving forward, and the momentum, the energy, and all of that will flow. See you next time. Bye. Hey, thanks so much for listening. If this was helpful, please hit subscribe and leave a review. This helps get this work in the hands of more purposeful people. That is, more people creating bigger, scarier goals, making an even bigger impact in the world. And if you want to take this work deeper and work with me directly, head to the show notes and I've got all of the information there. If you've got any questions or if there's anything you're like, ooh, I'd love you to talk about that on the pod, please just get in touch. I love hearing from you guys. And I'll see you next time in the Scary Goals Club.